Some video game adaptations make total sense, like the first-person shooter based on the James Bond movie GoldenEye, or the Sonic the Hedgehog game based on Robert Louis Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Truly a classic. That being said, there have been plenty of video games based on source material so weird or dark or uniquely unsuited to being a video game that we're amazed they ever got greenlit in the first place. Just consider these incredibly unlikely game adaptations and their improbable source material, and if you're interested in my early build of a video game based on the Guy Fieri series Diners, Drive-Ins and Dives, do get in touch. Unless you're Guy Fieri's lawyers, in which case, what game?
It's time, Enoch. You ready to leave?
No problem. Everything's fine.
At first glance, El Shaddai Ascension of the Metatron looks like something you'd watch if you were trying to get the most out of a 30-day free trial on Crunchyroll.
Bravo. Behold the power of purification. It cleanses all things vile.
In actual fact, however, El Shaddai is based not on a popular anime, but the Book of Enoch, a book of biblical apocrypha, which is religious text for people who find the regular Bible too mainstream. El Shaddai takes this book about the origins of demons and giants and the fall of angels from heaven and reinterprets it as a Devil May Cry style action game. In it, you play as Enoch, who everyone knows is the great-grandfather of biblical ark enthusiast Noah. Now, I've not read the Book of Enoch, but I'm willing to bet that at no point is Enoch described as a sci-fi backflipping Abercrombie & Fitch model. I also bet the book contains no sequence in which Enoch has to do a platforming section following a child riding a ghost.
Follow me.
This bit's probably in there though. El Shaddai was actually really well received and is considered something of a cult classic today. Just be prepared to be disappointed if you do read the Book of Enoch and this doesn't happen in it.
You might remember Home Improvement, the 90s sitcom that starred Tim Allen as a man who liked tools and went a lot. It was a simpler time. You might not think that liking tools and grunting is enough material to spin out into a fun and entertaining video game, but that kind of thinking is why you aren't making SNES games in the 1990s, because that was exactly the basis for Home Improvement Power Tool Pursuit from developer Imagineering in 1994. That being said, even the developers realized that tools and gentle family comedy aren't the most thrilling subjects for a video game, which is why the game opens with Tim discovering that his new power tools have been stolen. Therefore, he sets out to get them back. This is harder than it sounds because they've apparently been stolen by a bunch of dinosaurs, robots and mummies who Tim has to fight using, among other things, a nail gun, a blowtorch and a chainsaw. Or as I like to call it, the horror villain starter kit. The official explanation for this is that the lost tools have been hidden in various movie sets on the same lot as the one where Tim's show is being filmed. That raises more questions than it answers, such as what the hell kind of movie set just leaves wild animals unsupervised and free to attack people? And does that mean that this mummy is an actor and Tim Allen just killed an innocent stuntman with a nail gun? Still, it does give us the undeniable spectacle of Tim Allen fighting Dracula with a chainsaw, something I think we can all agree was sorely missing from the TV show. Indeed.
Beyond Limbo is the fallen King Minos, judge of the damned. But for those who remain in Limbo, the rest shall be sentenced to the circles below.
The Divine Comedy is a 14th century epic poem that, as long as there are no follow-up questions, I've definitely read. Okay, good. The first part, Inferno, is a kind of supernatural Renaissance travelogue, as writer Dante Alighieri is guided through the 9 circles of hell by the ancient Roman poet Virgil. However, rather than showing him the local arts and crafts scene or great little places to try authentic hell cuisine, Virgil instead focuses on people being ironically punished for their crimes on Earth, which is a bit of a downer, to be honest. But not enough of a downer to stop Dante's Inferno being adapted into a video game by Visceral Games, the team behind the Dead Space series. In this adaptation, sanguine Renaissance poet Dante Alighieri, seen here chilling out in a hat made out of leaves, is reimagined as a furious badass paladin armed with a giant scythe, which he got after, holy shit, killing death in a fight in the first 10 minutes. Then, instead of going on a sedate sightseeing tour through hell, Dante instead just absolutely wrecks everything he comes across as he makes his way through the 9 circles searching for his dead missus, Beatrice. This involves boss battles against Mark Antony, Cerberus and Cleopatra, who, according to Dante's Inferno, now lives in hell with no top on and can fire monsters out of her nipples. Who knew that was what she had going on under her robes? When you defeat Cleo, FYI, you unlock Lust Storm, a magic spell that creates a storm of pink lightning to protect Dante from harm. Which, having read the Divine Comedy, I can tell you definitely happens in the original. You can see why the Italians call him the Supreme Poet.
Dallas was an American soap opera about the lives of the Ewing family, who made millions in oil and spent it all on massive cowboy hats. Nice. Although it had its share of memorable storylines, including the infamous Who Shot JR mystery, it wasn't exactly crying out for a video game adaptation, particularly in 1984 when video games came on cassette tapes and looked like the aftermath of an explosion in a Lego factory. None of that managed to stop developer Datasoft, however, who released The Dallas Quest, an adventure game for the TRS-80 color computer, which, it has to be said, is totally bananas. Rather than sticking to the familial intrigue and business double-dealing that made the show so popular, the developers chose to take the game in a different direction. A direction that can only be described as totally f***ing hat stand, as you put sunglasses on an owl so you can use it to fight a giant rat. Play a lullaby on a bugle to stop yourself being crushed by stampeding cattle. And retrieve an ancient treasure map from a cursed temple, and are we sure this is still the Dallas video game we're playing here? Oh, there's JR, so I guess we are.
He appears out of nowhere. You've always wondered, who's behind the mask? The answer is you.
When the Burger King first debuted in 1955, he was a jolly elfin fellow who was either tiny or just enjoyed using company resources to make massive hamburgers for him to sit on. Whatever his height, he wasn't threatening, which is something the company decided to change when they introduced their new Burger King mascot, affectionately known to fans as the Creepy King, and with good reason. The Creepy King was mostly retired in 2011 due to, and I quote, scaring away women and children, but not before getting a video game made about his creepy exploits. That video game was 2006's Sneak King for the Xbox and Xbox 360. This featured a charming intro sequence in which the Burger King hides in someone's backyard, looking for all the world like he's about to crawl in through an unlocked window and murder an entire family. Among the many horrifying scenarios in this cursed game are the king causing havoc in a remote sawmill, disturbing the peace downtown, and terrorizing a small neighborhood with unsolicited whoppers. Sneak King is no longer available to download, possibly because the Burger King marketing department is trying to discourage customers from associating their food with mind-shredding terror. Either that, or for food hygiene reasons. I mean, you tell me where he's been storing this sandwich.
Have you let them in on your other secrets, Ted? Are they ready to gut you? To torture half as well as I can, just to find out the secrets? Maybe I'll rat you out, sweetheart.
I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is a 1967 short story by Harlan Ellison, master of existential sci-fi horror and threatening voice acting. Here he is now.
Let me tell you how much I've come to hate you since I began to live.
The story takes place in the post-apocalypse, where a planet-sized hate-filled supercomputer called Am tortures a handful of human survivors, who he has made immortal so he can keep torturing them forever.
Sometimes I blind you and permit you to wander like an eyeless insect in a world of death. But other times, I wither your arms so you can't scratch your chewed stump of a nose.
Seems chill. Regardless, this is not the sort of story that you read and then immediately decide to make a video game about. That's partially because it deals with some incredibly heavy themes, which require subtlety and nuance, and partially because it's so g-damned weird.
I think I'll save this delicacy for later. You want to get across the mountains? Go to the restroom and flush 3 times.
That didn't stop developer the Dreamers Guild from trying in 1995 when they released a point-and-click adventure game based on Ellison's harrowing short story. The game explores a lot of the same material as the book, but steers clear of some of the weirder, darker stuff. That's not to say it's not still full of weird, dark stuff though, because it absolutely is.
I am the great and powerful.
You didn't bring me Toto, but I accept the chosen one. You shall not feel my wrath today. Am I swell or what?
Unlike in the short story, it's possible to get a happy ending in the game, though it must be noted that 5 out of the game's 7 endings involve you getting turned into a giant soft jelly thing. This is considered a bad ending, for obvious reasons.
I have no mouth, and I must scream.
Cool. Does anyone just want to play Super Mario instead?
We all remember The Office as a long-running documentary series that over the course of 9 years took a candid look at the lives of actual office workers in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
It wasn't real.
So that's how the boss was in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. The Office was a deliberately realistic depiction of humdrum office life with all its microdramas and pranks and slow-burn office romances that are adorable except to everybody who's not in that couple. Just kiss. It's hard to imagine how you might adapt a workplace documentary sitcom into a game, or who might want such a thing, but not for the game developers behind the Office video game, which you are looking at right now. It turns out the secret of capturing The Office's subtle comedy in a 2007 PC game was making all the characters into bobbleheads, and occasionally running an audio clip from the show.
Today I got up, I stepped onto the grill and it clamped down on my foot. That's it. I don't see what's so hard to believe about that.
Against the beige realism of this open plan office, you had to run around being a bobblehead, delivering coloured folders to your fellow employees. And that was mostly it. A weird adaptation indeed. Man, I still can't believe it actually wasn't real. The British one was though, wasn't it?
No.
How about Spinal Tap?
Also no.
Blair Witch?
Definitely no.
Oh, whew, good. I can go back into the woods.
Not a bad day.
Thanks for watching this video about the weirdest things that ended up being adapted into video games. Ironically, this video itself is going to be adapted into a video game, so keep an eye out on that on the Xbox dashboard, probably. It's not really going to happen. If you want something else from us, why not watch this video up here, which is us recounting the horrible times that scary games made us quit playing them. So that sounds like fun, doesn't it? And down here is a video from Outside Extra, which is about games that mocked you for trying. So why not check that out as well. Thanks for watching.